Imagine for a moment that money isn't something external, but rather a precise reflection of what's inside you. Imagine that your bank account is a result, not a cause. A result of your beliefs, your emotions, your long-standing relationship with success, confidence, worthiness, and abundance. This is exactly what Harv Eker says in the introduction to his book. He doesn't start by offering you financial rules or saving strategies. Rather, he stands before you like someone intending to shake your old convictions, whispering a sentence that changes everything. Give me 5 minutes, and I can predict your financial future. He didn't say, give me your checkbook, but rather, give me 5 minutes to hear what you say about money. Because what you believe, what you repeat internally, what you are subconsciously programmed with, is what will determine your financial destiny, no matter how hard you work. In the introduction, Eker reveals that his wealth wasn't a result of luck, but of a true internal transformation. He wasn't born rich. He experienced rise, then fall. He built a successful business, then lost it quickly, not because he didn't work hard, but because he hadn't yet developed the mindset of wealth. Here, he introduces his core concept. Your inner world creates your outer world. Eker says that each of us has an inner financial blueprint, like a hidden program in your subconscious mind, loaded with everything you've heard, seen, and lived regarding money since your childhood. Did your mother say, money doesn't grow on trees? Did you see your father worry every time rent was due? Were you only rewarded when you studied hard, not when you were creative? Did you hear that the rich are selfish or corrupt? All these statements are not just passing moments, but messages that took root within you and came to define your relationship with money to this day without you realizing it. Then Eker gives a striking example. If your financial blueprint is not set for success and wealth, then all the money you make will find its way out of your hands. And this is what happens with lottery winners who lose their fortunes in record time. Because money doesn't change who you are. It reveals whom you are. And if you're not prepared internally, you'll always return to what's familiar to you, whether that's poverty, anxiety, or limitation. Then he says something extremely powerful. Success is not a result of chance, but of your mental conditioning. Success is not a stroke of luck. It is the result of long-term mental programming. And the good news is, you can change that programming. In the introduction, Eker promises that he won't just give you information, he will guide you through a real transformation from the inside out. He will offer you wealth files, a set of principles and applications that reset your internal system toward wealth. But he also warns you, the book is not magical. It won't make a difference if you only read it with your mind. You must apply it, repeat it, interact with it actively. That's why he suggests you say each key statement out loud. Write down the exercises and observe yourself. Because programming doesn't change through understanding alone, but through repeated practice. And he reminds you, if you want to change the fruits, you must first change the roots. If you want to change the fruits, you must first change the roots. And the roots here are your deep thoughts. They are the programming running in the background, controlling your actions, decisions, and financial choices. In the end, Eker says, you're not here to compare yourself to others, nor to judge your current situation, but to realize that there is a power within you, and that this power is waiting for you to activate it. With this tone, Eker ends his introduction and takes you by the hand toward the beginning of transformation, toward reshaping how you think about money, success, and yourself. So, are you ready now to dive into the first wealth file of the rich?
Great! And now the real journey begins. We dive into the first part of the book, the money blueprint. How is your perception of money shaped? And we ask the question that is rarely asked, yet it may be the most important question in your financial life. What is your financial blueprint? Imagine your mind is like a computer, and like every device, it has an operating system, folders, and code running in the background. Some of it you know, most of it you don't. Your financial blueprint is this hidden program that manages everything you think and do regarding money. How you earn it, how you spend it, how much you feel you deserve, and even how much of it you keep. But this program, you didn't write it yourself. As Harv Eker says, your thoughts about money, success, poverty, and worthiness were not born with you, they were planted in you. Since you were a small child, you were picking up words, signals, and emotions related to money from your parents, from your surroundings, from society, as if you were slowly being loaded with a complete system without even knowing it existed. Did you used to hear phrases like, "Money is the root of all evil," or "The rich won't enter heaven," or "We're not like them," or "Money doesn't buy happiness," or "He who has a penny is worth a penny"? Each one of these phrases was planting inner programming into your mind, and over time, it turned into a blueprint. Eker offers a simple but deep analogy. If the temperature of your inner financial thermostat is set to 20 degrees, then no matter how much your income rises or you succeed temporarily, your mind will seek to return things to what is familiar, and you might lose what you earned without understanding why. In other words, external success cannot last unless it is supported by internal programming. And he divides this programming into three main ways we are shaped. Verbal conditioning, everything you repeatedly heard about money when you were young. Even if you didn't believe it, it affected you. Modeling, not only what was said to you, but what you observed in your parents' or surroundings' behavior. Was money a source of tension in the home? Did your father work all the time and complain? Did you see your mother treat shopping as something shameful? All these things later translate into financial patterns in your life. Specific incidents. A single strong event, a negative or positive experience, can leave a lasting mark. Maybe the family's money was suddenly lost, or you were mocked because of poverty, or you saw a rich person act arrogantly. So a deep belief was formed inside you. Money is dangerous, or rich people are bad, or money disappears quickly. Over time, you start behaving in a way that matches this internal blueprint. Even if on the surface you think you want it, deep down on the inside, you resist it, fear it, or feel you don't deserve it. Here, Eker doesn't present these concepts as some kind of abstract psychological analysis, but to lead you to a crucial point. If you're not controlling your financial blueprint, then your financial blueprint is controlling you. That's why he says the first step towards financial freedom is not to start a business or to save, but to re-examine the programming that lives in your mind. And here, he lights the spark. If you want to change your financial life forever, start first by becoming aware of your blueprint. Then reprogram it to serve you, not what you inherited.
Great! Now let's continue deeper into this first chapter of the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, where Harv Eker shines a light on one of the most dangerous and profound sources of mental programming about money: childhood. Imagine yourself as a small child. You don't understand the world, but you absorb it. Your mind is like a sponge. Your heart is open, and your perception of things is forming without filters. Every word said in front of you, every behavior you see, every emotion your parents experience regarding money slowly turns into invisible inner instructions, forming what Eker calls the internal money blueprint. He says, we're all programmed, and the most important programming that determines our financial destiny begins in childhood. Your childhood isn't just memories, it is the root. Without realizing it, you are still acting like that child who received powerful financial messages at home. First, verbal conditioning. Eker asks you to remember the phrases you repeatedly heard about money when you were young. Many examples repeat in middle-class or poor households. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is the filth of the world. We don't have enough. Rich people are exploitative. Money doesn't buy happiness. If you're a good person, God'll give you what you need. Wealth makes people selfish. Each one of these statements wasn't just an opinion. It was programming. And in a moment, part of your brain began to believe that money is something rare, stressful, impure, or only deserved through struggle. And the result? That today, when you try to advance financially, you find yourself unconsciously sabotaging yourself, either through an unexplained fear or an inability to hold on to money, or even through guilt whenever you earn a large income. Second, modeling. Children don't just hear, they observe. Did you see your mother worry about every bill? Did your father work all month and then complain that it's not enough? Were the arguments in the house about money? Did you feel that money divides the family or is the cause of problems? Maybe you saw someone close being treated badly because they were poor, or everyone respected someone because they were rich. All these scenes translate into beliefs. Money brings tension. The rich are more respected. You shouldn't ask for more. Money only comes through suffering. And this programming, even if you reject it logically, still runs in the background, deciding how much you earn, how much you spend, how big you dare to dream, and how worthy you believe you are. Third, specific incidents. Sometimes one moment changes everything. Maybe you were a child and wanted something expensive and you were harshly told, "Do you think we're rich?" Or you saw a family member lose their money suddenly and you lived in fear of abundance. Or you heard someone say, "We'll never be like them," and you believed it. Eker affirms that these events form suppressed emotions, fear, shame, anger, greed, insecurity, and form in your mind a distorted relationship with money. Even if you don't remember the event, the impact is still there. And the final result of all this? That today, you don't just live according to your income, you live according to your internal money blueprint. And this blueprint is not yours, but one you inherited, were conditioned with, and perhaps suffered from. But the beautiful thing is that Eker doesn't stop at the diagnosis. He tells you that this blueprint, no matter how old, can be changed. How? By first becoming aware of it, by writing it down, by confronting it, by asking yourself honestly, does this belief serve me? Does it benefit me? Did I choose it, or was it imposed on me? Then gradually begin to reprogram it. And that is the journey we'll go through chapter by chapter.
We now reach the heart of the idea, where Harv Eker doesn't stop at diagnosis or analysis, but poses your important question, how is the financial blueprint reset? How do we reprogram the beliefs planted in us by the past and write a new financial story that belongs to the person we want to become, not the one we used to be? Eker states clearly, true change doesn't happen at the level of results, but at the level of causes. And the internal financial blueprint is the cause. What you see in your bank account, what you earn and lose, what you achieve and what you don't dare to pursue, all of it is a result. So to change the result, you have to go to the root, mental programming. Or as he puts it, programming, thoughts, feelings, actions, results. Everything starts with programming, those old messages you received about money. So how do you reset it? First, awareness. The first step is to become aware that what you're living now is not your eternal reality, but your temporary programming. Ask yourself, what do I truly believe about money? What's the first thought that comes to mind when I hear the word wealth? How do I feel when I see a rich person? Is money in my mind a synonym for freedom, or guilt, or danger? Eker suggests sitting with yourself and writing a list of the beliefs you were raised on. Every phrase you heard from your parents or your society about money, write it down. Then ask yourself, do I want to keep this belief? Does it serve me, or does it limit me? Second, dissociation. Once you've become aware of the belief, you need to separate yourself from it. Say, this is not me. This is something I learned. This is someone else's opinion, not an absolute truth. And this is a powerful step because it gives you back control. As long as the belief is treated as truth, you won't try to change it. But once you realize it's just a story you learned, you can replace it with a new story. Eker says, you can't delete a file from your computer unless you first know it exists. Third, reconditioning. Here you begin planting new thoughts actively, consciously, and repeatedly, as if you're rewriting the internal programming code. A practical example from the book. Old belief. Money doesn't grow on trees. New belief. Money is abundant and I can create it with my creativity and effort. Old belief. Rich people are greedy. New belief. Good people become even kinder when they have money. Old belief. I'm not good with money. New belief. I'm learning and improving in money management every day. And here Eker recommends a simple but effective tool. Repeat the new statements out loud every day. Stand in front of the mirror and say them to yourself with confidence and focus. Write them down, post them, listen to them, until they become familiar, until your subconscious believes them. Why? Because the subconscious mind doesn't differentiate between reality and imagination. It believes what is repeated, what is affirmed, what is charged with emotion. Reprogramming is not a superficial exercise, but a planting process, one you carry out daily, until you replace the mindset of scarcity with a mindset of abundance, and the blueprint of anxiety with one of control, creativity, and confidence. And finally, acting from the new identity. Eker doesn't want you to stop at repeating statements. He wants you to begin acting as if you already have a strong financial blueprint. Does the financially confident person feel ashamed to ask for compensation? Does he postpone decisions? Does he fear calculated risk? Does he play the victim or take responsibility? Action feeds programming, and programming feeds action. And in this cycle, the new identity begins to form. And the conclusion? Resetting your financial blueprint is not a one-time lesson, but a journey. A journey that starts with awareness, goes through dissociation, then is built by conscious and repeated reprogramming. But the result? Not just more money, but greater freedom, higher confidence, and an inner feeling that you are worthy.
Now we begin with the deep foundation upon which the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind is built, which is the mental files of wealth versus poverty, the way rich people think, and the fundamental difference between that
and how poor people think. What are mental files? Imagine that your subconscious mind contains files. Each file represents a specific topic: money, relationships, work, success, failure. And every file has been programmed with messages and experiences from childhood up to the present moment. Harv Eker focuses here on the money file and reveals to us that this file is not just a single one, but a set of beliefs and mental attitudes that shape whether you think like a rich person or like a poor one. And by rich or poor here, we don't mean the bank balance, but the mental identity. How do you view money? How do you view yourself? How do you behave when it comes to opportunities, fear, risk, planning, abundance? The fundamental difference in thinking between rich and poor people. Rich people think in terms of results. Poor people think in terms of survival. The rich person asks, how can I make a quantum leap? How can I grow? How can I expand? The poor person asks, how can I pay rent? How can I get through the month? The difference here is mental. One moves from abundance, the other from fear. Rich people see money as a means of expansion. Poor people see it as a source of worry. The rich mindset sees money as a means of freedom, influence, and expressing one's abilities. The poor mindset is afraid of money, either because it's scarce or because it corrupts people. Rich people grow. Poor people seek comfort. The rich mindset doesn't fear challenge, but sees it as an opportunity, while the poor mindset looks for comfort, for safety, for what is guaranteed, even if it remains stuck in monotony. Rich people learn from every experience. Poor people repeat the same mistakes. The rich mindset sees mistakes as lessons. The poor mindset sees mistakes as final failures and stops. Rich people plan long-term. Poor people live moment to moment. The rich person asks, what's my 5-year plan? The poor person asks, how do I make it through this week? And now, why does Eker insist on this comparison? Because poverty is not merely the absence of money, but in many cases, it is the result of a deeply rooted way of thinking. And if this mental programming has taken root in you unconsciously, you will keep repeating the same results, even if the circumstances change. And here, Eker says, if you want to be rich, don't just change your actions, change who you are at the internal level. Before we begin reviewing the 17 wealth files in detail, in the next section we will pause at a central issue. Why is it not enough to know, but you must be? Shall we continue?
Wonderful. We now arrive at the core of the philosophy behind Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and perhaps what distinguishes it from traditional money books. The deep question that Harv Eker poses here is not, do you know how to become rich? But rather, have you become the kind of person who receives wealth? And this difference is the difference between knowing and being, between understanding wealth and embodying it. Why is knowing not enough? Knowledge is important, yes, but it is not enough. Because knowledge resides in the conscious mind, but what truly runs your life is the subconscious mind. You know, for example, that you should save. You know that investing is important. You know that you have abilities that should be used. But why don't you actually save? Why are you afraid of investing? Why do you undervalue your services or product? Why do you feel guilty when asking for money in return for your effort? Why do you suddenly lose what you are building? All of this has nothing to do with knowledge, but with internal programming, with who you are, not what you know. Eker says, people don't get in life what they want. They get what they are. You don't attract what you wish for. You attract what you internally resemble. Knowledge is surface. Programming is depth. To use a simple analogy, knowledge equals a beautiful mental image of success. But the inner being is a magnet that determines whether you'll attract it or not. That's why you see people with great knowledge, yet they're stuck financially, not progressing, while you see others who haven't studied much, but they're good at playing from within. They have a mindset that is flexible, confident, open to money, and ready for expansion. Transformation does not come from understanding, but from embodiment. Knowing about wealth is good, but becoming a person with a wealthy mindset, confident, proactive, responsible, flexible, patient, and opportunity-creating, that's what truly makes you be rich, even before you have money. Money does not create mindset. It's the mindset that creates money and sustains it and grows it. And here we arrive at the key phrase that Eker repeated many times. Be before you do before you have. Be, then do, then have. Repeat, knowledge plus application equals transformation. What Eker proposes is not just reading, but rather becoming aware of your old programming, dismantling it and rewriting it, then acting every day according to the new mindset until it becomes part of your identity. And only then, what you know transforms into what you live. And wealth becomes something that flows from within you, not something you're chasing after. And now, after we've understood the core difference between knowledge and being, and prepared ourselves to dive deep, shall we begin with the first mental file of the 17 wealth files? Are you golden?
Excellent! And now we truly begin diving into the second part of the book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, The Wealth Files, which is the heart and deepest part of the book. The 17 wealth files are not just passing comparisons, but 17 ways in which rich people think and act, completely different from poor people. Each file reveals an internal difference in vision, attitude, and behavior, and each one is capable of changing your life from the roots if understood and applied. We begin now with Wealth File number 1. Rich people believe, I create my life. Poor people believe, life happens to me. Imagine two people waking up each morning. The first gets up and says to himself, what can I do today to improve my life? What can I control? How can I build my future? While the other opens his eyes, sighing, looks around and mutters, here we go again, nothing changes, no luck, no opportunities, no one cares. The difference between these two people is not intelligence, nor circumstances, nor education. It's only in mental programming. Harv Eker says, rich people live with a mindset of responsibility. Poor people live with a mindset of victim. Rich people say, I am responsible for my life. Even in failure, they do not blame others, or circumstances, or childhood, or the economy. They ask, what did I learn? How do I fix what happened? What's the next step? They have deep awareness that they are not victims, but creators. Poor people say, why me? Life is tough.
They focus on what they don't have, what they can't do, and what others have done to them. They are always looking for someone to blame: the government, the boss, the partner, luck, time, the country. And in reality, they don't realize that this thinking doesn't give them comfort, but robs them of power. Eker explains 3 signs of the victim mindset. Blaming: it's not my fault. If I had a rich father, if I lived in another country. Blame eases the pain of responsibility, but steals your control. Justifying: I don't care about money. Money isn't everything. I'm content. But deep down feels lack. And Eker says, if you justify your poverty, how do you expect to become rich? Complaining: things are bad. There are no opportunities. Other people are lucky. And the worst, there's no solution. Here, Eker is strict. Complaining is a negative prayer. Every time you complain, you are asking the universe to give you more of what you're complaining about. On the other hand, the responsibility mindset. Rich people ask, what's my role? What can I change? What do I have control over? This does not mean they don't face hardships, but it means they refuse to be defined by the hardships. They don't wait for the world to change. They change themselves to create their world. And this brings us back to a central quote from the book. If you want to change your life for the better, start by taking full responsibility for it. Practical exercise. Eker asks you to do the following. Whenever you find yourself blaming, justifying, or complaining, stop immediately. Take a deep breath and say, I take full responsibility for my life and my financial results. Repeat it until it becomes part of your identity. Because when you believe that you create your life, you reclaim your power. You become the center of gravity, not its victim. So, are you ready to move from, why is this happening to me, to, how can I create what I want?
Imagine you're standing on the edge of a huge field, the field of financial life. In front of you is a ball, and behind you is a crowd. But before you start playing, you have to choose. Will you play to win, or just to avoid losing? This isn't just about intentions. It's about internal attitudes that produce external behavior. In this second wealth file, Harv Eker teaches us that the mindset of wealth starts with the intention to win, not with the fear of loss. Rich people don't enter the financial field playing defense. They don't say things like, I hope I don't lose, or I just want to get by. Instead, they think in a completely different way. How can I achieve financial freedom? How can I live freely? How do I build wealth that grows even while I sleep? They don't view money as something to fear losing, but as a tool of expansion, a game of motivation, a field for creativity. But on the other side, stand the poor with their hesitant mindset. When they play, they raise shields, not aspirations. They enter the game saying to themselves, I just don't want to lose. The important thing is not to go broke. Let me just hold on to what I have and protect it. And here occurs the great divide between the two approaches. Rich people focus on what they want. Poor people focus on what they fear. With the repetition of this pattern, it turns into internal programming. The subconscious mind, which does not distinguish between what you want and what you fear, receives only one message: I don't want to lose. And from that, it understands, stay where you are, don't move forward, don't take risks, don't create, just survive. And thus the goal of the poor becomes survival, while the goal of the rich is growth.
Reflect on this point carefully. The poor may work for years, but they don't plan to win. They don't know what passive income means. They don't see beyond their salary. They don't think in terms of multiplying value. They just want to stay alive in the game, even if they stay in the same place. In contrast, the rich move with a clear vision. I'm here to make a breakthrough, not just to survive, but to thrive. And since every financial decision we make comes from this internal intention, the results differ fundamentally. The rich invest, the poor hold back. The rich plan, the poor adapt. The rich create opportunities, the poor wait for them. The rich take calculated risks, the poor reject risk entirely. But how do we change this file? How do we move from being a fearful player to a free player? The first step, expose the inner intention you're carrying. Ask yourself honestly, do I play to win, or do I play just not to lose? If you find that you're always hesitating, always thinking about worst-case scenarios, always lowering your ambitions, then know that this second file is working against you. It's not enough to say, I want to be rich. You must live every day as if you are someone who allows yourself to win. Write this down on paper. I choose to play the money game to win. I deserve to win. But don't stop at writing. Start changing your behavior, step by step. Is there a decision you've been postponing out of fear? Make it. Is there an investment opportunity you've been thinking about? Study it mindfully and then move toward it. Don't wait for total safety, because victory doesn't come to those waiting for ideal conditions. It comes to those who move despite anxiety. And the most important thing, change your daily language. Instead of saying, God willing, I can just make it through the month, say, I'm planning to increase my income this month. Instead of, I just want to get by, say, I create abundance that enriches me and those around me. This is how the game changes, not from the outside, but from the inside first. Shall we continue with wealth file number 3, where we discover that the difference lies not in desire, but in commitment?
Imagine the life paths of two people running toward the same goal, wealth. The first runs with a burning heart, eyes fixed on the target, and a desire that justifies every step, as if he had scheduled an unmissable appointment, one in which he will harvest the fruits of his dreams no matter how long the days take. The other, however, runs with hesitant steps, lifting his head now and then to check if he's still on the right track. At the sight of a small obstacle, he pulls back and says to himself, maybe wealth isn't for me. I'll come back tomorrow. This subtle difference on the inside is what separates those who reach the summit from those who end up gasping halfway there. Rich people don't just want to be wealthy. They are committed to becoming wealthy. Commitment here is not just a word they throw around. It's a vow they make with themselves, deep in both emotion and intellect. A vow that says, I will do whatever it takes, no matter the cost, to reprogram my financial life. They don't commit just because they understand what wealth means, but because they live that commitment every morning as part of their identity. When their willpower awakens, it doesn't search for new motivation. It already found it in their original decision. Day after day, the inner voice repeats, this is your appointment with abundance. Don't back down. As for the poor, they merely wish. They want wealth the way someone longs for a sweet dream before sleep. They find momentary comfort in the idea of wealth, then return to their routine. And those who haven't signed an internal vow that makes wealth a starting point rather than an end goal will keep asking for miracles with a language that says, I wish I could, without taking the first step. This commitment manifests in small, repeated actions. Waking up early to finish reading a financial book, not for casual browsing, but to deepen understanding.
laying out a clear plan that details how every dollar is directed toward assets, not fleeting expenses. Reinvesting profits, rather than instantly spending them on things that only give a temporary feeling of security. And even during moments of frustration, the sound of that original decision never dies out. I will continue because life rewards those who stay committed. And since commitment is a journey, not a destination, they break the fear of failure with a single decision. Failure is temporary, but giving up forever stops here. Then they return to the grind, like someone retrieving a stolen piece of their soul in the moment of doubt. How do you reset this mental file? Not by saying, "I want to become rich," but by writing your personal vow, a short, clear statement you place where you see it every day. Sign it and say it out loud to yourself. I am committed to achieving financial freedom, no matter what it takes. Then think of one action today that reflects that commitment. Buy a new book, make a consulting call, open a basic investment account, any act that pushes you forward. With this shift, everything changes. Willpower becomes attraction, not fleeting desire. And when the mind feels commitment, it produces solutions, not excuses. Then life starts to respond to your decision, not your wishes. And so, this third wealth file is completed. And now the road becomes clear and clearer. From desire to vow, from dream to commitment. And with us now unfolds the fourth file, built on this foundation.
Imagine yourself standing before a vast, endless canvas. While some try to fill this canvas with small, limited dots, shrinking their dreams so they don't seem too grand, so they won't face disappointment. The rich hold a bigger brush, painting the scene with bold colors whose impact stretches across time and people. The minds of the poor suffocate in the details of today. How will I pay rent? How do I find an extra job? They shrink the vision until their fears fit in, then stop at the first obstacle. I'm not big enough. Whereas the rich don't begin by asking about small means. They ask, what can I build that will change others' lives? How can this idea leave an impact lasting decades? This difference isn't just about project size, it's about belief size. When the rich think big, they program their subconscious to expand possibilities. They think of a reality where money has no limits, of opportunities that temporary failure can't extinguish. They create a vision that attracts partners, customers, and great friendships that turn the dream into a global movement. But those who think small keep themselves in a box whose boundaries they see only through their daily routine. If I get an extra $200 this month, I'll be okay. Then the same box repeats itself, and along with it, the feeling that something better isn't meant for me. How do we change this mental file? First, unleash your imagination. Sit in silence for a minute and imagine a project, service, or message that adds value to millions of people, not just yourself or your small circle. Feel the size of that impact. Even try writing it as a future story. 5 years from now, 1,000 people benefit from my idea every day. Then, repeat it daily until your mind starts to reset the scale with which it measures your potential. Second, embrace big goals. Don't settle for a goal that just covers your expenses. Define a financial goal that sets you on a wider path. Then break this big goal into small, actionable steps, not to confine you, but to make the big vision real on the ground. Third, surround yourself with those who think big. Read about those who built giant companies, who founded institutions and universities, who invented technologies that changed the world. Let these stories fill your mind and give you a powerful dose of what is possible. In that moment, your mind begins to expand from a narrow box into an infinite space. And the language of your inner selves shifts from "I can't" to "why not?" From "my shoulders are heavy" to "my shoulders are broad," carrying a message. This big thinking doesn't just guarantee you wealth. It creates legacy, a vision that lives beyond you, that inspires those who come after. And then your worst-case scenario isn't no longer losing some money, but losing the chance to change an entire life.
Imagine yourself standing in front of a window that overlooks two parallel worlds. In one, you see a limitless horizon where the sounds of opportunity dance, new ideas, emerging markets, human needs waiting to be fulfilled. And in the other, you see a wall choking every path, difficulties, risks, the words "you can't," signs reminding you of the obstacles that have repeatedly stopped you. This division isn't an external place, it is a stage within you. The rich pass through the first window, seeing in every challenge an opportunity to invent a solution, to create a product, to establish a connection, to expand their sphere of influence. They say to themselves, "This market is new, but I can be the first to serve it. The idea may seem strange now, but if I do it first, I'll become the reference." Meanwhile, the poor stand at the second window. They focus on every but. But the competition is fierce. But the market is saturated. But I don't have enough experience. Their movement becomes calcified. Passion fades, and then hope disappears. The story here isn't about the reality itself, but how it's viewed. When you focus on opportunities, opportunities become easier to see, and paths begin to emerge that you hadn't noticed before. And when you focus on obstacles, every small wall grows until it becomes an insurmountable barrier. But how do we change this mental file? First, reset your lens. In moments of anxiety, pause and ask yourself one question. What opportunity have I not yet noticed? Instead of repeating, "What will stop me?" you'll find yourself looking for cracks in the wall, not for its height. Second, create the habit of spotting opportunities. Every morning, write down 3 potential opportunities, whether in your profession, in investment, in learning a skill, or in helping someone. Record them, even if they seem small. This record will become your constant resource when the path becomes unclear. Third, reach towards solutions, not justifications. When the fear of what might happen starts to rise, acknowledge it quickly, then turn it into fuel to look for alternatives. This challenge is here, but how can I overcome it? This shift in approach sends a clear message to your subconscious. I'm here to find opportunities, not to look for excuses. Gradually, your internal state transforms. You'll begin to see it not as a place of closed doors, but of gaps that widen each time you step closer. And so, focusing on opportunities becomes not just a habit, but an identity that springs from your depths. At that point, it's no longer a matter of luck, but of how attentive you are to every opportunity being born in every moment.
Imagine a banquet held in a grand hall where guests sit in search of inspiration and opportunity. In a quiet corner, someone stands watching one of the speakers with passion and enthusiasm. This speaker has built an empire from nothing and recounts the details of his rise with confidence and determination. This person listens to every word, selects lessons from them, asks about the secrets of success, imitates his way of thinking, and leaves the gathering charged with new zeal for action. Opposite him, you see another watching the same speaker with a scowl, his face filled with looks of envy and reproach. But he hears only an inner voice saying, "How dare these people flaunt their wealth? Why are they allowed to speak of riches while we live in constant scarcity?" Then he leaves, his heart heavy with negative thoughts, with no lessons to benefit from. This difference in feeling, admiration versus hatred, is the essence of what Harv Eker calls wealth file number 7. The rich see others' success as a lamp that lights their path. They believe every success story holds an angle they can learn from. They look for the method, the mindset, the decisions that led to that achievement, and turn every encounter with a successful person into an opportunity for growth. The poor, however, are annoyed by this scene. They interpret it as a conspiracy and view the wealthy as belonging to a different class, not one of them. They bury feelings of admiration or envy in their chests, which then turn into a deep aversion, forming a barrier between their thoughts and any successful idea that might change their lives. To change this file, you must first acknowledge your true feeling when you meet a successful person. Does your heart beat with excitement, or does your chest tighten with envy? Once you become aware, you enter the stage of disassociation. Distinguish between the voice that says, "I am less than them," and the voice of curiosity that asks, "What is their secret?" Next, begin practicing admiration. Whenever you encounter a success example, video, article, or person in your circle, silently tell yourself in a calm voice, "I admire this success. What can I learn from it?" Repeat this until admiration becomes your first response, not envy. Finally, seek role models, real mentors, or through their books and interviews, and train yourself in positive emulation. Read a billionaire's biography, take notes, and apply one practical step each week from what you learned. When you start effective emulation, an internal belief shifts from "they are different from me" to "we are all human and I can follow in their footsteps." Thus, the psychological barrier between you and learning from others' experiences fades, and you allow their stories to build your belief that you too are capable of success. And from here, the door opens to wealth file number 8, which deepens the difference between those who win the battle and those who surrender under a cloudy sky.
Imagine you were invited to 2 gatherings at once. In the first, you see a group of people who have achieved real accomplishments. Entrepreneurs, founders, innovators, gathered around a round table, exchanging ideas with enthusiasm and celebrating the goals they have just reached. Every word they speak radiates optimism. "I tried this strategy and the results were amazing. I'm starting a new project targeting this huge market. Let me introduce you to a great partner." In the second, you see people who never stop complaining. "Why didn't my idea succeed? The circumstances are against us. Where will I find the time? Everything is too expensive." They are not only lacking ambition, but carry deep within them a negative belief that they are destined to fail, not destined for success. This is the difference highlighted in wealth file number 8. Rich people befriend positive achievers, while poor people befriend negative failures. At the heart of every successful network is one story: the people around you. The relationships of the rich are not accidental, but a conscious choice. They choose those who embody the same values: positivity, initiative, optimism for tomorrow, and commitment to self and business growth. When you sit among them, you see how each raises the level of the others, how they share resources, how sparks of new ideas light up in their eyes. But the poor choose friendships that ritualize complaint daily, reinforcing the belief that the market is against them and that any new initiative will collapse before it takes off. These relationships keep them trapped in a bubble of negativity. They hear only the voice of failure, see only the rocks in the rough road, and know only the language of excuses. How do we change this file? Discover: who do you spend most of your time with? What is the tone of your meetings? Do you leave them charged with new enthusiasm or with more complaining and anxiety? Experiment. Arrange one meeting with a positive achiever, perhaps via a podcast, a professional event, or even a brief call. Ask about the challenges they faced and how they handled them, and write down 3 steps you can apply this week. Expand your circle gradually. Don't wait to have millionaire friends. Get to know those who have a growth mindset, those who read the same books, attend the same workshops, participate in the same groups. Every new person you join brings a key that opens another mental door to opportunity. And because the mind does not distinguish between repeated negativity and the positivity you hear, this shift in social company will reset the psychological environment your subconscious lives in. And each time you mate with optimists in action, you will feel part of a larger wave that pushes you forward, not down.
Imagine two men standing in a huge business expo. The first holds his business card confidently, steps toward visitors with a sincere smile, and explains his idea with enthusiasm, not fearing to say, "I am the leader of this project, and this is my vision for the future." His words boost your confidence and make you think, "It seems he fully knows the value of his idea and deserves that I listen to him." The other, however, stands in a quiet corner fearing to be noticed, does not extend his hand to utter a few words, is afraid they'll call him arrogant, so he says, "I wish someone would ask me about my idea." Then he falls silent, losing his chance, and his idea remains trapped in his mind without ever seeing the light. This split in behavior, willingness to promote versus aversion to it, is what Harv Eker calls wealth file number 9. Rich people are not ashamed to talk about themselves, about their achievements, about their visions, because they realize that promotion is not a luxury, but a bridge that carries others to what they offer. They do not see promotion as a narcissistic trait, but as a service to others. I have discovered this technique that doubles productivity, and I want to share it with those who need it. They view every word they speak and every post they publish as an opportunity to let a great idea find its audience. And thus, learning courses, partnerships, and investments move forward from one reassuring, clear sentence. Poor people, however, consider promotion a cause for contempt or a sign that they lack real value. They think promotion means indulging in selfishness, provocative advertising by those who have nothing. So you find them hiding behind silence or waiting to be showcased instead of showcasing themselves. To change this mental file, you must redefine promotion. Write a short phrase. Promotion is the bridge of value. Do not see it as showmanship, but as announcing a solution that helps people. Start with a small step. Share an article or a short idea on social media, not to get likes, but to help one follower. Ask a question that highlights your expertise. Do you know the secret of this technique? You will be amazed when you receive genuine gratitude from someone who truly needed this idea. This gratitude will cement in you that promotion is not selfishness, but a seed of benefit. Make promotion a repeated habit. Every week, choose content or an idea you believe will benefit your audience and present it confidently. With each presentation, the bridge of value you build will widen. When you reprogram your subconscious mind to see promotion as an ethical duty to serve others, not just a means of boasting, you'll discover doors opening courageously before you and opportunities coming to you instead of you chasing them.
Imagine you are standing in the middle of a sandstorm, sand flying in every direction, the wind raging fiercely, and frantic noises from all sides. In this moment, there are two kinds of people. The first stands tall and firm, like an unshakable mountain. He sees the storm around him, but does not feel it stronger than himself. Instead, as moments passing over his strength. He says to himself calmly, "This is a passing storm. I will get through it as I have before." His step is steady, his heart reassured, and his mind focused on the distant destination where clear skies await him. The other feels as if each grain of sand is crushing him. The storm grows in his eyes as though it will engulf him. Every breath becomes difficult.
Every step turns into a struggle. He moans inside. Why are these things happening to me? How do I leave this storm? Then he freezes in place, petrified, awaiting the sand to bury him in its ground. Harv Eker summarizes this difference in his 10th wealth file. Rich people are bigger than their problems, and poor people are smaller than their problems. This bigness mindset doesn't mean arrogance, but inner strength. When a rich person faces a problem, whether a financial loss, a partner's betrayal, or a stumbling project, he does not retreat from suffering nor belittle it. He stands before it and says, "The problem is here, but I am bigger than it. I will solve it, learn from it, and emerge stronger." He sees in every problem a free lesson, a gift from life to hone himself. Every challenge is greater than a small patch of ground, yet he is greater because he has vision, experience, and belief he will find the way. But one with the small mindset sees only the size of the problem in front of him, which grows inside his chest as he shrinks with it. Every obstacle becomes a mountain reachable only by a journey that drains time and energy. Frustration builds up, the desire to fight fades, and the solution seems pale and out of reach. To transform this mental file, you must first try confronting small problems with new awareness. When you stand before the first obstacle, no matter how simple, stand proudly and say, "This is not bigger than me. I will learn from it." Then take a small step toward the solution, not one so large that exhausts you. With each small success, a new belief grows within you. You are big enough to overcome what others face. Your experiences weave within you shields of wisdom and patience. The storms that once roared like boulders before you become just passing summer breezes. Every morning, repeat honestly to yourself, "I am bigger than any problem, and I have the ability to handle it successfully." Do not wait for a great problem to test your strength. Use today's small problems to nurture your confidence, for each small trial you pass reinforces your readiness to face greater ones without fear. And thus you transform from one who collapses before life's crises into one who imposes his path upon them, teaches them lessons, and emerges unshaken, like a mountain enduring the winds without bending.
Imagine a room filled with gifts and decorations, and on each tier of the floor sits a glowing box of promise, a box containing money presented as a gift, a box of investment opportunities, a box of enticing job offers. Rich people enter this room extending their hands without hesitation, open the boxes with joy and gratitude, take what's inside, and wear smiles that say, "I deserve this opportunity and every gift that comes my way." They are skilled receivers of money, knowing that accepting the gift is no less important than pursuing it. Poor people, however, enter the same room but knock on the boxes cautiously. Is this gift for me? Do I deserve it? What if I'm being deceived? Then they look around, sigh, and whisper to themselves, "I don't want to seem arrogant. What's the point if I take what I don't truly deserve?" Thus, a pure gift becomes a source of anxiety, and the box remains closed, unopened. This difference between those who receive money with gratitude and confidence and those who fear even looking at it is the essence of wealth file number 10. Harv Eker simply calls it, "Rich people are good at receiving, poor people are weak at receiving." And when he says good at receiving, he doesn't mean affectation or self-aggrandizement, but comfort with the right to abundance. Rich people believe the world is abundant, that money circulates through everyone's hands, and that taking your share does not reduce others' share. They see money as energy that must flow, and they are part of that flow without barriers blocking them or making them feel guilty. Poor people, by contrast, carry old programs inside them that say, "If I take too much, I'll take away what's rightfully others," or
Money is dirty, and people won't want me if I show it. Or, I don't deserve this, so I'll lose what I've taken. These programs build an internal wall. The closer a gift of money comes to them, the higher the wall rises. How do we reset this mental file? First, accept a small gift, perhaps an unexpected small amount of money, a networking opportunity, or even a sincere compliment about a talent you have. Before you reflexively refuse, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and say to yourself, "Thank you for this gift. I deserve this gesture and I will use it wisely." Then repeat this action with every opportunity. Take it, give thanks, and do something simple to strengthen your receiving. Save the amount, invest it in a book, or offer help to someone else. Each time you do this, your subconscious receives the message that you are deserving, and your receiving capacity expands within you. Ultimately, it's not enough to pursue money fiercely. You must become, as they say, an open vessel to receive what comes to you. When you shift from blocking the flow to receiving with joy and embrace, your relationship with money transforms from struggle into a dance of giving and receiving, and money begins to follow you rather than flee from you.
Imagine two colleagues in a quiet boardroom. One is Sarah, a freelancer who bursts into her client's office with a confident smile. She doesn't ask for an hourly rate. She leans forward and says, "Let's agree that my fee is tied to the outcome. If your revenue jumps by 30%, or you launch that new line successfully, then we both win." Her eyes sparkle because she knows her income will mirror the actual value she creates. Across the table sits Tom, a longtime employee. When HR asks whether he prefers a salary or an hourly rate, he answers without hesitation, "I'd rather be paid per hour. I feel safe knowing every minute I spend at my desk is recorded and compensated." And with that, he settles back, his comfort anchored to the clock, unaware of opportunities slipping past. This choice, whether to get paid for results or to get paid for time, is the heart of the 11th wealth file. People who think like the rich recognize that time is finite, but results are potentially limitless. They link their compensation to impact, innovation, and tangible progress. They wake up every morning knowing that their reward grows as they exceed expectations, solve bigger problems, and push beyond mere presence. Their focus shifts from counting minutes to maximizing influence. Those who think like the poor, however, measure their worth by hours logged. Every task becomes a line in the timesheet, every project a countdown to payday. Their mindset whispers, "As long as I'm here, I'm safe," and cages their ambition within the boundaries of the clock. To rewrite this internal script, start small. Invite a project where you propose payment tied to success, boosted sales, satisfied clients, or completed milestones. Track your contribution. How did your ideas streamline operations or open new markets? Compare the satisfaction and rewards of an outcome-based agreement to a time-based one. Notice how the responsibility for real results ignites your creativity and commitment in ways mere attendance never could. With each success, you'll feel that shift deep inside. You're not working to fill hours. You're innovating to change lives. And once you've tasted the power of result-driven earning, you'll be ready for the 12th wealth file, where we learn to use money as a tool, not as the end goal.
Imagine a bustling market full of life, tables laden with goods, and streams of buyers and sellers. In a quiet corner of this market, you see Ali, the owner of a small shop, smiling and chatting warmly with his neighbor, the vegetable vendor, cooperating to display fruits and vegetables together in order to attract customers. Ali says to his neighbor, "Let's organize a joint promotion today. Buy any item from my shop and get a small discount at yours, and that way both of us will draw more shoppers." They sit together and agree that each will profit alongside the other. Passers-by hear the conversation and draw near, and everyone benefits: Ali, his neighbor, and the buyer, who leaves satisfied, paying a little more with the thought that they've received added value. On the other side, there is Khalid, owner of another shop, watching the market's activity with anxiety. He sees Ali cooperating with the neighboring vendor and thinks to himself, "If my neighbor profits, I will lose out. Every customer who goes to him reduces my income." So he refrains from any cooperation, announces tough solo deals, refuses to share customers or services, and obstructs customers with his harsh rule, "Either you buy from me or you leave." This split in thinking, profit together with everyone versus either me or you, is what Harv Eker identifies in this mental file. Those who think like the rich know that the world is full of opportunities and that cooperation generates value beyond what an individual can achieve alone. They seek win-win partnerships, exchange ideas and resources, and understand that one person's profit does not diminish another's. In many cases, it increases it. When major investors join a joint venture, they do not fear losing individual shares. Rather, they take pride that together their gains exceed what each could earn alone. But those who think like the poor close doors cautiously, place barriers between themselves and others, and remain in a narrow arena of competition. My line today is my destiny tomorrow, and everyone else is my rival. This mindset freezes them, causing them to miss opportunities for expansion, attraction, and community innovation that could open thousands of doors. To change this mental file, start with a cooperative smile. Propose to a colleague or potential partner that you collaborate on a small project in which each of you profit alongside the other. Don't begin by talking only about my profits, but about the shared value you can create together. Observe how your ventures grow when creativity unites rather than clashes. And with every successful collaboration, when you see your partner prosper and you prosper too, a new belief is etched within you. True success is only complete when everyone wins. Thus, cooperation becomes your habit rather than the exception, and your partnerships become bridges that drive you not only to profit, but to make a greater impact on the world around you.
Imagine you're walking down a stylish street and stop in front of two windows. In the first, electronic screens display the monthly income of different individuals. This one earns $3,000, that one $5,000, and another $10,000. You look and are amazed, perhaps feeling admiration or envy. But in the second window, the net worth of each person is displayed, and suddenly the picture changes. The one who is earning $10,000 a month is drowning in debt. His car is financed, his apartment mortgaged, and his credit cards on the verge of exploding. Meanwhile, the one earning only $3,000 owns an apartment debt-free, has a growing investment portfolio, and savings to protect him for the next 6 months. Here you realize a truth many fail to see. True wealth is not measured by what you earn monthly, but by what you retain and grow over time. The rich understand this truth early on. When one of them receives income, they don't immediately think, "What should I buy?" Instead, they ask, "How can I make this income increase my net worth? Should I invest part of it? Should I pay down a debt that lowers my liabilities? Should I add a new asset that will generate passive income in the future?" The wealth mindset seeks accumulation, not consumption. It tracks the development of net worth month by month, not just paycheck by paycheck. Whereas the poverty mindset causes its holder to chase their salary like someone running after a non-stop train. The closer they get, the further it moves, and the more their income increases, the more their expenses rise, so nothing really changes. The dangerous thing is that many think they are safe simply because they earn a good wage. But the truth?
You are not rich as long as you rely on a single income stream you don't own, don't control, and that doesn't generate assets for you. To begin the shift, don't wait for a raise. Ask yourself, what is my current net worth? What do I actually own after subtracting my debts? How can I increase that number, even slowly? Start with simple steps. Set aside a fixed portion of your income to build an asset, an investment, a project, land, knowledge. Reduce purchases that don't add to your financial value. Track the growth of your net worth just as you track your income, and make it your goal to improve that number monthly, not just your salary amount. Over time, you'll notice a deep inner shift. You'll no longer think about how much you earn, but how much you build. You no longer measure success by your checking account, but by your total portfolio. And here, your journey toward true financial freedom begins, not paycheck to paycheck, but asset by asset. And once you grasp this truth, you're ready to understand why the rich don't work for money, they make money work for them.
In a corner of the city, Daniel sits in a quiet cafe holding a small notebook. Not an appointment notebook, but a financial notebook. Every dollar earned, every cent spent, every investment plan, every monthly goal written down, clear, organized. Some people might describe him as rigid or obsessed, but the truth, he's freeing himself bit by bit. In contrast, his friend Rick sits on the other side of the cafe holding his phone, browsing bank notifications. He sighs, then says, "Honestly, I have no idea where my salary went this month. As usual." Then he laughs sarcastically as if it's normal, as if financial chaos is an unavoidable fate. Here, Harv Eker reveals one of the harshest and clearest truths in the world of money. It's not about how much you earn, but how you manage what you earn. How many people earn a lot but drown in debt? And how many with modest income have tidy accounts, calculated expenses, and steadily growing assets? The rich don't let money control them. They control it. They know where every penny goes, why it's spent, and when it returns. They view money as an employee working for them, and every dollar as a soldier in their financial army. And a successful commander doesn't let his soldiers scatter without purpose. The poor, or those with a poor mindset, either neglect money entirely or manage it with randomness and emotion. They live by the rule, as long as there's money on the cart, I'm fine. But in truth, they have no plan, no vision, not even real awareness of their financial condition. The rich allocate specific percentages of their income, a portion for investment, a portion for savings, a portion for learning and self-development, a portion for enjoyment and leisure, and a portion for giving, because they know that money flows more to those who use it wisely. And the most important part, they don't wait to become rich to do that. They became rich because they started doing that from the beginning. If you want to change this mental file within you, then start today, not tomorrow, by writing down everything you earn and everything you spend, even if just for 7 days. Watch how your perception of money begins to change. Then create a simple plan to divide your income, even if it's small, into buckets that nourish your future, not drain it. And with every week, you'll feel that you're not chasing money, but leading it. And the better you lead, the faster you go, and the more money that can be trusted into your hands. When you prove to the universe that you can manage what you have, the next door opens for you. A door that shows you why the rich don't work for money, but make it work for them like a loyal servant, not a dominating master.
We now arrive at one of the most pivotal points in the book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, which forms the heart of the mental shift between the poverty mindset and the wealth mindset. Imagine a worker in a small office who starts his day before sunrise, navigating through traffic just to clock in on time. He works hard, follows orders, and waits for the end of the month like a thirsty man waits for a drop of water. Then he repeats the same cycle every day, every week, every year. And when asked, "Why do you do all this?" he says, to survive, to pay the bills, to feed my children. He is working for money. But on the other side of the city, another person sits in a quiet cafe checking his investment portfolio. He doesn't need to go to an office nor chase after a paycheck. His stocks are growing, his property is being rented, his business is running even while he sleeps. Money doesn't run from him, it comes to him, because he planted what bears fruit and taught money to work for him. Here, Harv Eker reveals the fundamental difference. The poor work for money, while the rich make money work for them. The first sells his time, the second builds a system. The first earns only when he works, the second earns even when he stops. But let's be realistic. Most people aren't born with ready-made assets or massive businesses. And here lies the real intelligence of the wealthy. They didn't wait for opportunities to appear. They created them. They started with simple savings, a modest investment, or a small side hustle. And every time they received money, they didn't just think, "What can I buy?" They asked, "How can I plant this money so that it returns to me multiplied?" It's the mental shift that begins when you stop chasing money and start building sources that generate money. When you are no longer an employee of money, but its owner and manager. Think about it. Every hour you work now, does it contribute to building a system that will enrich you in the future? Or are you just consuming your time to cover today's needs? The change begins when you understand that hard work alone does not build wealth. It's financial intelligence, small, consistent choices, and the desire to escape the rat race that make the difference. Start with simple steps. Allocate a portion of your income for investment, even if it's small. Learn how to grow your money, not just spend it. Aim to build an asset, a business, an income-generating skill, a property, or even a channel that brings in indirect income. With every step that brings you closer to that goal, you'll feel that money's no longer your master, but your servant. You no longer move for it, it moves for you. And when you reach that stage, you'll be fully prepared for the next level of thinking, where the rich begin to operate from a place of abundance, not scarcity, and from confidence, not fear.
Inside every human being, there is a moment where time stands still. A moment when their inner voice says, "What if I fail? What if I lose? What will people say?" Fear. That companion who always appears when you're about to move towards something new. But right there, exactly in that moment, the difference becomes clear between someone living with a poverty mindset and someone who chooses a wealth mindset. The first one, when he feels fear, retreats. He delays his decisions, makes excuses, justifies things to himself. Now is not the right time. Maybe later. I'm not ready. But the second one feels the same fear and moves anyway. Not because he isn't afraid, but because he has learned that fear doesn't disappear. It must be led. The rich do not wait for fear to vanish. They go through it. They know it won't completely go away, but it won't stop them. Rather, it becomes the bridge to their goal. Harv Eker puts it clearly. Fear, doubt, and worry are not enemies of the rich. They are travel companions. The only difference, the rich move despite them, while the poor stop because of them. Because the poor seek safety before achievement, while the rich know that true safety only comes after achievement. Think about every moment you are about to start a project, invest money, or share an idea. How many times did you back down because you were afraid? How many doors were closed because of the phrase, "What if?" Fear is not defeated by overthinking, nor by postponement, but by action. When you start, even with the smallest step, fear shrinks. You prove to yourself that you are the leader, not the victim. You reprogram your brain to know that pain is temporary, but regret is permanent. If you want to break free from your limitations, start walking within them. Do the thing despite your hesitation. Move despite your anxiety. Try despite your trembling. You'll be surprised that most of the ghosts that stopped you from moving forward were only living in your imagination. And with every step you take despite fear, you build a new identity for yourself. The identity of the person who doesn't wait for the circumstances, but creates them. The identity of the wealthy, not someone who lives without fear, but someone who controls it. And once you adopt this identity, you'll be ready to leap toward a new level of courage and abundance, where you no longer just react to life, but begin crafting reality the way you want it to be.
Wonderful. We now arrive at the final station in this part of the book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, where Harv Eker puts his finger on a mental file that marks the difference between someone who spends their life in a closed loop and someone who continues rising endlessly. In a small room attending a money training seminar sits a young man named Adam, holding his notebook as if he's about to uncover a treasure. Every word spoken, he writes it down. He asks questions, discusses, reflects on himself, as if he knows nothing, but he aspires to know everything. He's not rich yet, but he behaves like those who understand that growth never stops. In the back corner of the room sits another person named Dave, arms crossed, a grim look on his face, and his eyes say, "I already know this. This is basic stuff. What are they going to teach me?" He doesn't read, doesn't listen, doesn't learn, because he thinks he already knows. And here exactly, Harv Eker points to the distinction that sets the rich apart from others. The rich are lifelong students. The poor think they are permanent teachers. The mentally poor close themselves off in a loop of "what I know is enough." But the rich live in an open space of "the more I know, the more I realize I don't know." The rich understand that money, like any skill, requires training, practice, and constant development. They read books, attend workshops, listen to podcasts, and surround themselves with information, wherever it is. It doesn't matter if they're already successful or have made millions. What matters is that they're never satisfied. But the one who clings to the phrase, "I know," usually lives years repeating the same mistakes without even realizing it. He behaves the same way, gets the same results, and wonders, why doesn't my life change? But learning is not just about gathering information. It's about expanding your awareness, challenging your beliefs, and developing your tools. It's a silent acknowledgement that today you don't yet have everything you need for tomorrow, but you can acquire it. And the exciting part is, the rich don't just learn about money, but also about the self, relationships, leadership, investment, emotional intelligence, and even spirituality. Because they know that money grows only as much as its owner grows. Start today by living as a lifelong student. Read 10 pages a day. Listen to something that inspires you while driving. Take notes, write down your thoughts, and let your curiosity be a bridge to your development. And when you realize that learning is not a luxury, but a necessity, you'll open doors that can't be seen by minds who think they know it all. And as you continue to grow, money will become nothing more than a natural side effect of your internal expansion.
Are you now ready to summarize these mental files that change the way you see money and the world?
Wonderful. We now arrive at the conclusion of the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by Harv Eker, and in it, the author no longer speaks to you as just a reader, but as a participant in a grand game called the money game. He invites you to change your internal rules to change your external results. You have reached this moment, the moment of realization, when money is no longer just a number, and wealth is no longer just a dream, but rather it has become personal, deep, internal. It's about who you are, how you see yourself, and what you believe you deserve. You now understand that wealth doesn't start on the outside. It starts from within, from the mental blueprint that shapes every behavior, every decision, every habit, every relationship with money. But knowledge alone does not make the difference. Action is what creates wealth. That's why Harv Eker now whispers to you from between the lines of the book. Don't leave this book as a beautiful idea in your memory. Make it a turning point in your reality. Start rewriting your new financial blueprint with your own hands. Draw it with new words, strong beliefs, and simple daily behavior that repeats until it makes the difference. When you receive income, ask yourself, how can I make this money work for me? When you face fear, don't run, move forward, knowing that boldness makes the difference. When you see someone successful, don't envy them, learn from them. Dedicate daily time for learning, because you don't grow by your wealth, but by your development. Apply the laws you've learned. Take full responsibility for your financial life. Watch where your money goes. Expand your financial awareness. Add a new habit every day that brings you closer to wealth, even if it's small. And don't wait until you're fully ready, because true readiness doesn't come before taking off. It's born from it. Every mental file we went through isn't a theoretical lesson, but a practical key. If you hold it with your hand, unlock it with your mind, and apply it with your heart. And don't forget, a wealthy mindset doesn't just mean having money, but the ability to create it, keep it, and share it without losing yourself along the way. From now on, live life as if you were rich, not by spending, but with intention, focus, and worthiness. Live it while saying, I create my life. I choose to be rich. I am the master of my money, not its slave. And remember, wealth is not only in your bank account, but in every thought that frees you from fear, every habit that strengthens your ability, and every moment of awareness that brings you closer to yourself. Now, tell me, which law will you start applying today? What is the first step you'll take to prove to your mind that you have become a new person? If this journey moved you, don't forget to leave your mark by supporting the channel and subscribing. And join us in the next journey, because we are still at the beginning of the road. Keep listening, keep growing, because true wealth begins here, from within. Every great mind starts with a single page, and you've just turned one. If this chapter's moved you, imagine what's coming next. Subscribe, hit the bell, and unlock the next idea. Keep listening, keep growing.